I said I'd talk about the brush cutters next, so that's what I'm going to do. I've got 3 here from different makes. So I've got a Husqvarna, a Stihl and a Kaz, and I'll go through them one by one with their specs. And because I'm not brilliant at not understanding but remembering specs, I've got their manuals out so I can show you at the same time. So let's have a look. So this is my Husqvarna, look at that, 353 RJ, and probably the most important things on this, the size of the engine, which is 34.6 cc's. It produces 1.6 kilowatts, which is about 2.2 horsepower. It weighs 6 kilos, and where are we? The fuel tank carries about 60 millimeter, 0.6 litre, I should say. So 600 millilitres, if I get it out right. If we have a look at the Stihl, is this is the FS250. It has 40.2 cc, so a much bigger motor, but it runs also at 1.6 kilowatts, which is again 2.2 horsepower. It weighs, for the 250R, which is what I've got, 6 kilos, and its fuel capacity is, where was the fuel capacity? I remember, I can't see it there, but it was the same, 0.6 of a litre, I think. Sorry, I can't do the conversion for you in the US, but anyway, it's 0.6 of a litre that it can carry. And over here, the Kaz has a Mitsubishi motor on it, a TU26, so it's right on this side, and it has a 25.6 cc engine, and it produces 0.71 kilowatts, and I'm not sure what that is, but it'll be just over 1 brake horsepower, I would think. And its fuel capacity is also 0.6 of a litre. So that's the specs of these brush cutters. That's the Kaz down here. I've had that the longest. Now I've had that probably 20 years now, this Kaz. No, let me say 18 years, I think. Who cares? 18, 20, give or take. It's been used a lot because I didn't just live here, and on this property I lived on another 3/4 of an acre, which needed a brush cutter a lot of land to clear. It wasn't all mowable. So yeah, I've had that for a long time, and I have used it with a cutting implement on it, so I've used it with a blade, and it's okay. If it's just grass or really light bracken stuff like that bracken over there under the tree, not a problem. But when you get into thick stuff, it just bogs down. And you know, it's been around for a long time, and you know, it's allowed to get tired every now and again. This Stihl I've just bought because I needed a bigger brush cutter. Now, it's been used once, and it's a good cutter. As you can see, it's got the blade on it at the moment, and I've used it in some really heavy ground. So if you have a look at this stuff over here behind that fence line, that's the sort of stuff I've been cutting with it. And it's long and hard sort of work, but you know, it does the job, and it'll cut through pretty thick brush, even with that blade on it, not with a saw blade on it. So it's not a bad piece of kit, but you might wonder why, you know, I've got this, which is 1.6 kilowatts, and I've just gone and bought this, which is also 1.6 kilowatts. And it comes down to preference in a lot of cases. They both weigh the same, although, you know, I was hoping that this one would be a bit lighter, but I did do my research and I knew it was going to be the same. But there are little things on the Husqvarna that just make it that nicer than the Stihl. And that's probably just because this is an old model and is due to be replaced, whereas this is fairly current for the Husqvarna. But if we have a look at the differences, you'll probably see what I mean. If we go and have a look at the Stihl, it's the things that I like about it. First of all, I like the fact that it's a powerful motor, and it is. It's quite torquey, and it's got a good lot of torque at low end. You know, it's a straight shaft D-loop like that. Spins a blade really well, like that. I hate these harnesses, but when you're stuck with a D-loop, or I'm not stuck with one, I chose one, you can't have a three-way harness. So it would be nice if that was the case, but then you lose all your flexibility with being able to cut up and down hills and sideways, and, you know, use the blade at all angles and stuff like that. So you're stuck with these harnesses. And really they're just to lean it on. Most of the time you're handling it, the weight itself. So yeah, it's a good unit. You know, for what it needs to do, it'll do it. What I don't like about it, the choke is here. So you can lean against it and turn it on. And, you know, you'll wonder one time while you're running it, why all of a sudden it starts to run rough or cut out, and that's because the choke is turned on. If you're careful, that doesn't happen to you, but yeah, it's annoying, if you put it that way. Particularly if you're in the middle of the scrub and you're working hard and you're in a rhythm, and then all of a sudden it cuts out on you. And it's not fuel run out, it's this, it's just painful. The other things, the D-loop's okay. There's nothing special about the D-loop, you know. That D-loop is actually nicer, even though it's hard plastic. The start-stop switch is okay, but, and as I'll show you on the Husqvarna, it returns back to start when you stop it. So, so you don't have that situation where you forget that it's on stop and you're wondering why your engine's not starting. It's got a good trigger. I think the trigger's nicer than the Husqvarna, less likely to break. But it doesn't have any anti-vibration in it. It's got a rubber handle, but nothing. There's no anti-vibration whatsoever. This is a chainsaw motor. It absolutely is blinding. And, you know, after working with it for a while, you know, you suffer that tingling in your hands and that sort of stuff, which really affects it. And if I go over to the Husqvarna, as I said, smaller motor, same sort of power. There's some other things I quite like about it. So things are in easy reach and accessible. So choke is easily done there. The air filter cap is just clipped on, so you put a screwdriver under there and flip it open, you can get the air filter out. Nice screw cap for the petrol. This stop switch, as I said, is a return switch, so it returns. As I said, I don't like the trigger. I think the trigger's a little, if I show you it, a little bit gimmicky. But it has this anti-vibration, and that's fantastic. So when you're using it for a long time, that makes all the difference. And this D-loop, I'm not sure whether I like this or not, but it feels, you know, much like the Stihl, but but it's on an angle, and I just have to see whether that's really ergonomic or not, or whether that's just looks. And this mount for the strap is actually a lot more sturdy than the Stihls, you can see there, but that's just being picky. As you can see, the Husqvarna hasn't even been started or run yet in doing any work, so I'm yet to find out. But what I'll be doing with that trimmer head on it today is, as you can see, there's plenty of work to do in this yard, but I'll be working up in there where the front yard is. So what I'll do next is I'll give you a bit of an idea about how they all run. I'm just a bit wary of the weather. It's supposed to be a good day today, but if you can see the cloud, I checked my weather station, which I have on the roof over there, if you can see it there, and it's 20 degrees and high humidity today, so it could rain. It's been trying to. Anyway, we'll see how we go. And just before we stop with this bit of the video, I thought later on I'd give you a bit of a run of the Massport. I've got to use it today. So this is a utility mower, commercial grade utility mower. It's got a Briggs & Stratton 850 motor on it, which is 190 cc's. I couldn't tell you the horsepower. I haven't got the manual down with me, and you know, my head's not for statistics on that sort of stuff. Love the mower. It works hard. You know, it hits sticks and stuff, as I said here. We just don't. We're not able to keep up with all the sticks that fall. We don't really have a lawn. I'd like to call it a plethora of weeds that we mow rather than a lawn. It has one lever for height adjustment, which is excellent. As I said, it starts pretty much straight away every time. It spends a long winter away, but in summer it gets a lot of use. So yeah, really happy with it. I'll start it up and do a bit of mowing with it so I can show you what the mowing's like in a moment. This will be a cold start of the Kaz. Just be prepared, it could take a while. The fuel's not all that new either, even though I was using it last weekend, which is the first time I've used it for the season, which is actually pretty late in the season, but we'll see how it goes. So that's the Kaz, now that I've run out of puff. Now I'll start the Stihl. Husqvarna, but we won't rev it too hard because it's brand new and it's been started once this morning at the shop. Pretty well primed, I would think. So that's the 3 started and running. As you can see, the 2 new ones of course are starting a lot easier. But I still like my Kaz, even though she's a bitch to start. She's alright once she's run once. But as I said, it's old fuel too, that doesn't help. Anyway, next I'll show you the Massport mower.